Warning. This program contains frank and mature discussions intended to educate and advocate on the subjects of sexuality, sex, and gender and body positivity. Due to the nature of the topics being discussed, this may include subject matter and language that some may find offensive. This program is intended for adults only. If you are under the age of 18, if such material offends you, or if it is illegal to view such material in your community, please exit now.
Brown chicken, brown cow. 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 This is fun. Brown chicken, brown cow. Brown chicken, brown cow. All right, hi everybody. Welcome to the Brown Chicken, Brown Cow Show. I am one of your hosts, Sean Monkey Mackin. You can call me Monkey. To my right, your left. I don't know, stage left. Stage left.
Stage left.
I don't know which way that would work. We have Jessilee. Say hi, Jessilee.
Hi.
And over here, we have Hethrebeth.
Hi.
Wow, it's amazing. I'm really excited to be here. I'm really, you can probably tell, my nipples are hard. It's just amazing.
Could tell. I could tell.
So today we're talking about some amazing stuff. But before we get started, let's give a shout out to the madam and the professor. They're running the tech. So, yay, thank you. Thank you. The madam's going to be quiet and just give me stares. And I'm uncomfortable. Okay, moving on. Moving on. Hethrebeth.
Yes.
We talked a little bit about a subject. Why don't you kick us off and tell us what we're going to be talking about today?
Sure. Well, I think sort of a shared value that we all have here and that we're building this show around is sex positivity. It's a term that gets thrown around a lot in our culture nowadays, and people are like, what is that? Does that mean all the sex all the time?
Oh,
No.
yeah, well, sex positivity. Yes, I'm in.
Yeah, right?
I'm positive about sex. Sex
Right.
is, yeah.
Right.
Right? No, is that not
I
it?
mean, sort of. Well, how about this? I actually talk about this quite a bit, so would it be okay if I asked y'all's thoughts about what sex positivity is before I gave my working definition? Or
Oh, sure.
what do you think about that?
Sure, yeah, that actually works well. Jessilee, why don't you start so I can come up with something funny?
Shit.
Okay, I would say that sex positivity would be viewing sex as a healthy self-expression. It's about non-judgment and inclusivity within the sex-positive community. It's modeled around consent and safe sex. That's what I would say that is.
Okay.
That's your turn to say funny things.
My turn
No
to say
pressure.
funny things.
Be
I almost
funny.
brought just a big
Be
plus
funny.
sign, you know.
Yes.
Because I was just going to bring a big plus sign. This is what I think about sex positivity, because for me it's allowing people to grow in and of themselves around their sexuality. So as long as they're not hurting anyone, as long as there's consent involved, as long as they are following legalities, and we can talk about that in the darker side of that, but really it comes down to allowing people to explore themselves and their sexuality and what feels right to them
Yeah.
without hurting others. Of course.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are both pretty accurate. Like I said, I talk about this topic a lot because I teach on this. And so the working definition that I use is one from Carol Queen, who's an amazing sexologist, PhD.
Are we gonna
She's
sing
awesome.
most of the time
Just
now?
want to like worship Carol Queen. Anyway, so her definition is that that a sex-positive person believes that sex and sexuality always has the potential to be healthy, beneficial, enriching, and positive, and it's contrasted with sex negativity, which is kind of an unspoken norm in our society that says sex is dirty, bad, wrong, or sinful.
You know, like sex shaming or gender shaming, anything like that.
Yep.
You know, and in comedy, that's looked as punching down. You know, you have a comedian talking about women and talking about, well, my woman did this stupid thing, and everybody laughs. Well, that's punching down because the male has a perceived power position. So I see a lot of comedians do that with gays or trans or women or whatever the perceived lower person in the society is.
Yep.
So when you talk about apply that to sexual negativity or sexual positivity, it has a similar connotation.
Definitely.
Yeah. Totally. Totally agreed. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but it happens.
Moving on with sex positivity.
Yeah, so a thing that I like to share when I teach about sex positivity is kind of about like the core values or ideas that kind of constitute sex positivity. And you all touched on some pretty key ones. You said about consent, about safer sex, about not shaming or judging people, and then, you know, about just appreciating diversity. I'm going to look at my notes real quick just because I want to make sure I don't miss out on anything.
All the notes.
These are pretty good, pretty good things.
Very important.
So key values of sex positivity are, one is communication and consent. Like that's pretty important, right, to relationships and sexuality, because I don't know about you, but I don't read minds. What do you guys think about that? Let's start with that, consent and communication.
I think it's crucial. It's crucial to having consensual sex. Not that there's a non-consensual sex, but it's crucial to having good sex because, like you can't have something unless you're asking for it. So it's just super important. And I think it's undervalued. I think we're kind of taught this idea that that the right partner for you will automatically know what you want. I think there's a kind of that value that we have. And if you have to ask, then you shouldn't even have to ask. And I think that's really that really hurts our sex lives. Like that, that makes it really hard to get what you want and to kind of grow in that way. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'll out myself a little bit, at least on the show so far. Most people already know I'm polyamorous, so having a communicative, open and honest communication about, so many different aspects of a relationship and sexual levels is paramount. And what I found is that it also bleeds back into my everyday communication standards, right? So when you're trying to be as honest and open as possible, we all stumble, we all make mistakes, but when you try to be as open and honest as possible, guess what? That will just bleed into everything else.
Yeah.
So I don't play games at work. I tell people exactly what's going on. I try to be as transparent as possible. So when those things become natural to you, at least in a sexual aspect, you're able to ask for things with an open heart, and hopefully the person that you're communicating with also has that. I know early on in my relationship with my wife, occasionally she would do the ooh when you would ask for something, right? Well, rather when I would ask, hey, you want to try this? I'd get, I don't think so, right? And so I get stuck in the back of my head. It's like, oh man, she never wants to do that ever again. So I just kind of put it away. And I think in some relationships that can be, just get in the way. Like I call it relationship plaque.
Yeah.
Relationship plaque. I
Great
like that.
term. Can I use that?
Absolutely.
Sweet.
Yeah.
By Monkey.
By
Trademark.
Monkey.
TM.
Trademark.
Well, it's really important because relationship experts will say that resentment is one of the key things that leads to the downfall of any relationship, and an absence of good communication can definitely. It's the same kind of concept that you just kind of coined, relationship plaque. Yeah. So that's really important. It's a good way to look at it.
And I think along with that goes, this is not like on my bullet point list, but I think along with that is pretty importantly is being able to be honest with yourself, and to check in with yourself, and to like take time to figure out what feels good for you, rather than trying to do the people pleasy thing of like, oh, my partner wants to do this, so let me just do it.
Well, there's a certain amount of good giving a game, even though some people do not like where that came from. But still, it's definitely a positive look at.
Yes.
Okay, I need maybe to try this thing because, if I don't like it, okay, that's fine. I mean, really, I gave it a try. It's not my thing. But in polyamory, fortunately, things that I don't like, my partners can possibly find that with someone else.
Right. Yeah,
Totally.
absolutely. So.
Yeah, regular check-ins. Sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Oh no, I was just thinking that even in monogamous relationships, it's good to at least acknowledge that you can't, that something is a hard stop for you. Because even just expressing like, this is something that I want, but I can't find it in this relationship, at least acknowledging it can kind of clear the air, or can kind of lead you to accepting that, okay, that's something that like we're just not gonna do, and that's a price of admission, and yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited. I think we should talk about this topic. I feel like we should expand all these topics into entire shows. I have all these resources that are just exploding out of my brain right now. But
That's
you're totally
awesome.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to bring up was the idea of safer sex, and I like that word safer rather than safe, because let's just think like what do most people mean when they say, "Did you have safe sex?" Like, what does that mean?
I just feel like the definition are so different. It really depends who you're talking to.
True.
Some people just think like a condom, and some people think about like getting tested somewhat regularly, and condoms aren't even part of that. I don't know. And then some people are very, like, what I would consider to be very strict about their safe sex practices. I'm definitely one of those people where I have very strict safe sex practices, but I just feel like you don't get like a definition you know, we're not even shown like what safe sex, like we're not given an example of that in like our mainstream, like our media at all. Like you never see someone grabbing a condom on like a TV show or a
Right,
movie,
pretty rarely,
like,
right?
ever.
Yeah, yeah.
Like at the very least, like yeah.
And then even there, again, I think we could have like a whole episode on what safer sex looks like,
Yeah.
around like STIs and also around other aspects of safe sex or safer sex. But it's not just about, I mean, it's about protection, you know, barriers. It's about being tested, but it's also about all kinds of other things, like what other types of risk are you willing to take? Are you interested in kink? What does that look like? What's your level of preferred risk versus your partner's, and where does that overlap?
Right.
And so I like the idea of safer sex because it kind of begs the question, like, oh, safer than what, or not as safe as what? So.
Yeah,
It's definitely an item that you have to talk about, especially, you know, where do you stand? I mean, I know a lot of younger people don't have this conversation because we don't have it in schools.
Yeah, we
right?
don't. Especially
Right?
in a lot of
We
states, we're
just
just
get
not allowed to.
the fear driven into us. But
Yep.
we don't get, okay,
Yep.
well, you might have sex someday. Here's the things you need to think about.
Yeah.
So here's the safer sex. Are you into rough sex, BDSM, kink? You know,
Oh, yeah.
are you able to have that communication of your safe word and all those other items? Instead of, you know, some people have red, some people have rutabaga. I don't know.
Why is it always
Yeah.
a food or an animal? I don't know.
Well, because like if rutabaga came up organically during your sex, like that could totally happen. I don't know what kind of sex you're having.
Mine's
but-
just Grover.
Organic
That would be like-
rutabagas only, right?
Yeah, right.
Mine's
Right.
thermite.
Thermite. okay.
Thermite.
Yes, the professor uses thermite.
Nice.
Man.
I was just gonna say, is that like a chemistry type of term?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a.
Yeah, it burns at a very high temperature.
Oh.
Of course it does.
Get it? Ha!
All right.
The kinky professor over
I'm
there.
gonna talk to the professor after the show. Anyway, so yeah, safer sex is important, and I feel like we could have an entire episode on, you know, negotiation and communication and just all these things.
Yeah,
So many cool things to talk about.
totally. Yeah.
Let's see here. So do you have another bullet point going down the list?
Oh yes,
Oh.
honey, I do. I've got like
Oh,
7 of
honey.
them. How's
Honey.
this going for
Oh
everyone?
yes, honey. You watch out, honey.
Can we talk about the
Stop it.
blushometer?
Oh, all right. So
Oh,
I'll
right.
broach the subject just because you two just like to pick on me. Go on with the crew.
Likes it.
Tiny bit.
I can talk about sex. I can talk about sex all day long. But as soon as somebody points the finger at me, I start blushing.
The sex finger.
The sex
sex
finger.
finger.
The sexy finger.
It's
Whatever
the
it
big
is.
#1 foam finger. That's the sex
Oh,
finger.
wow.
Whatever it is, it's like, you know, I can talk about anal and fisting and cunnilingus and all these things and the technical aspects of it and how sexy and hot it is. But then somebody goes, "How you doing, monkey?" I'm like,
How you doing, monkey?
"Stop!"
So speaking of
exactly
consent, we have pre-negotiated
Yes.
a consensual arrangement wherein
Yeah.
it is kind of fun for us, and we're not exactly sure 100% how we're going to go with this, but kind of like a blushometer to like see how many times Monkey might blush during the show. And I don't know if we
There
want
it
to
is.
Just
get more
talking
into
about it, I
details
start
about
blushing.
that. Oh, it's meta blushing.
Meta
That's worth 3
blushing.
blushes.
Oh
Three
shit.
blushes. So there's one of the things we've talked about is putting it on the Patreon so people can donate to encourage my co-hosts to push me into the blushing level
blush
of-
zone.
the blush zone, the blushometer.
Blushometer.
So they have a certain number that they're trying to achieve. I think today was 12.
Oh, I thought it was 69.
Oh, damn, that's a high. We gotta aim low, man. Like at first, anyway.
Wow.
Spare him.
69. Okay, we're going there.
I'm 12. That's what you meant, is that I'm 12
Oh, yeah,
and
my
the
bad.
number
Yeah.
was 69. That's right.
Confused.
All right. So yeah,
Anyway,
you'll be able to
blushometer.
go out to Patreon and support us and support just on the blushometer if you like.
Yes.
Yes.
Also on the Patreon, there's a Get Us Drunk level.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
That's very easy.
We need to get a DD
Very
for this,
easy for
coming
me.
to record this show.
You might have to,
Possibly.
because the basically it's you buy someone on the stage a drink. The drink gets delivered. We say thank you directly to the camera. We toast you. And you're able to buy anybody a drink and get us a little drunky during the show. Fortunately for you, we also include a tip for the bartender.
Yes.
Because you're classy that way.
That's right. That's right. We wouldn't want to leave that out on your behalf. So, okay. So what's next on my list? Let's see. So medically accurate, non-judgmental sex education. Again, this could be an entire episode. I have like a whole soapbox rant about this that I won't go on. So I just want to hear your thoughts on sex education.
I was looking for the soapbox.
Huh? You were hoping for the soapbox?
Yeah,
How much
well-
time do you have?
No,
Just
no,
kidding.
no. We'll go over that another time, but just sex education in general,
Yeah.
I really do think it's abysmal, especially in the what I was given in elementary school, junior high, high school. It was all fear-based for the most part. Here's a condom. Don't have sex, you'll get this horrible disease, and then show a picture of it.
Mean girls, do not have sex, you'll get pregnant and die, right? Or
Chlamydia.
get chlamydia.
Oh.
Your penis will fall off was one. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then the whole just showing a condom going on a banana. We at least had how to use the condoms.
That's okay.
That
That's
was-
something.
You know, I grew up here in Sacramento, so we may have had a little bit more progressive environment, but I know other places in the country really use the aspirin technique.
Yeah, aspirin between the knees in case anybody doesn't know.
Yeah.
They don't know about doggy style.
Yeah.
They're not sure. I think I might have covered the microphone. They don't know about doggy style.
That
Or-
is so true. I didn't
Or
even
the
think about
loophole.
Oh, right. The
Yeah.
back door.
Back door.
The Garfunkel and Oates song.
Exactly, that's right.
that. Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
The
The Garfunkel
loophole,
song.
they should call that.
The loophole. Hopefully.
What do you think? What are your thoughts about sex ed?
I mean, I have to agree. I think in this country, it's really abysmal. And even the aspects that like we're vying for, we're fighting to just be included, don't go far enough. You know, like there's so many aspects of being a sexual being that we just don't talk about. But I think it's important for the sex positive community that we take into account, like, rather than just, I don't know, just touting like the sexy aspects of it that everyone likes to talk about. I think it's important to talk about the medical aspect of it because it furthers our knowledge and it prevents us from having these crazy misconceptions. Like one of the misconceptions that really, really bothers me about just like the medical aspect of sex in general, for instance, is that 60% of women actually do not orgasm through just penetration, and I think that's like a really common misconception. And
Wait, what?
yeah, shut the fuck up, okay?
He's got binders full of women who have orgasmed through penetration. Come on now.
Oh my God, that was a beautiful reference. Yeah, so binders full of women. Yeah, so I think that stuff like that, you know, needs to be more widely known.
Totally.
Otherwise,
agree.
it just makes shit hard. People get sad. For no
I
reason.
agree. Yes, that's a good fact. Thank you for pulling that fact out about the majority of women. I mean, I think it depends on like which study you read, but like,
Yeah, it's
but
different.
some percentage, like some pretty large percentage of women, do not orgasm through purely penetration, right? And you know,
Right.
and then sex ed, of course, also assumes things like that gender is a binary, that everyone's heterosexual. I have a friend who grew up in the South, is not a straight person, and talks about like the horrible way that they found out about sex. And so that's one thing I always ask when I do like presentations. I go to college classrooms. It's really fun. My life is awesome. I get to talk to college kids about sex. But and I ask folks like, how did you find out about sex? You know, and so it's not oftentimes through, you know, it could be sex ed at school, but we also get ideas about sexuality through our culture, from our
Sesame
parents,
Street.
our
Sesame
church.
Street?
That was how I found out about
Bert
sex.
Ernie?
Okay, right, the absent but implicit, the thing that is implied but not directly stated, right? And we get our messages through what is not said or what we are told to hush down about, right? Or to not ask about.
Right.
Oh, not
there's a
asking
lot of
about that would be Snuffleupagus.
Right, that's true. Look at you with the Sesame Street references.
Yeah.
All
I was
right.
not expecting that.
No, you're welcome.
That was, yeah.
You think I come up with other references?
It's just all Sesame Street forever.
Can I share a resource? Because I'm a social worker and that's what I do.
Absolutely.
Okay, and I also think it might be kind of cool if we put a little disclaimer at the front of our show about this, that if folks are under 18, that a really great resource is scarletteen.com.
Yeah.
Yes.
Scarlet Teen is one T, but scarlet like the color, and then EEN like teen.com. And they're great. They're so great. They have message boards. They have information about sex, gender, sexuality, you know, relationships, kink, all kinds of stuff on there. And it's all kind of written for young adults, like teenagers and young adults. And I just really like to share that as a resource. So
Yeah, I've been out there a few times just to see what type of information they have, and it's really helpful.
That's great.
And it's not slanted just for any one gender or any
Right.
one sexual identity, so it's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
yeah. Okay, so let's see.
Listy
Other
list.
things.
Time to
I've
go
got
to
some
the
fun
list.
stuff here. Medically accurate. Okay, acceptance and celebration of sexual exploration and diversity.
Yeah.
So we sort of hit on that a little bit when we mentioned like that that gender is not a binary, that sexual orientation is not a binary, meaning there are more people in the world than just people who have penises who identify as men and people who have vulvas who identify as women. Yeah. And there are any variety of people who like to have sex with any variety of other kinds of people. And that's just talking about gender. That's not even talking about other types of diversity of experience, about polyamory or kink or all types of things like that. So what do you think of when you hear about exploring or acceptance of exploration and diversity within sex?
I think it's just important for us to understand that your experience with sex is not everyone's experience with sex. People have, like you said, people have different orientations, just all of these things factor into your experience with sex, and they can be just very small things that make your experience different in a lot of different ways. And so I think it's important to be accepting of those differences and to understand that just because it's not something that you're into or it's not something that you've experienced, it's still valid, and so I think without accepting that sort of diversity and openness to exploring different experiences, it would be sex positivity would be this very narrow keyhole,
And sex is okay as long as it's only the penis and the vagina missionary style. Yeah. You like that slow motion situation there. Slow motion.
Just, yeah.
Oh, it's very slow over there. Monkey's making it nice and slow.
Oh, wow.
That's how Monkey likes it.
There it is. 2. 10 more to go.
10 more to go. All
Excellent.
Right.
That was the 4th.
Oh, the 4th.
Oh, shit.
The 4th
blush.
okay.
Oh, we have
Says
a
the
counter
madam.
over there,
Oh, my
Madam says the
goodness.
4th.
This is great.
Is he blushing when we're not noticing?
Yes.
Oh, that's what was happening. I saw some stuff, but I was like, I am focused on this
Yes.
amazing conversation. I don't know.
The madam she's just helping you out to push that meter up there. It's right there. Aww.
Is that another one? Is that 5? That's 5.
Yes.
Yes.
Great.
Ding, ding, ding. All right, Patreon subscribers, get excited. So, any other thoughts about diversity or acceptance?
Because I come from an interesting background, especially sexually. So, for me, diversity is a huge aspect of my background and my history. But I know as a white cisgendered male, there are cis male gendered, however you want to say it. It can be confusing due to societal history. Right, and I think that's one of the reasons why I want to do this show, to help normalize, to help bring this aspect up, and to bring things up that are not so understood amongst people who are at the level of not understanding the diversity aspect of it, right? From like you said, the different genders, the different sexual identities, the different relationship standards. So, like I said, I have a huge history along with this, but a lot of people don't. So I can understand their point of view, but I really just want them to kind of step up and start accepting.
Yep.
And the accepting part is very hard for a lot of people, especially when you start talking about applying religiosity to it, or history, or their own personal factor. Right?
Yeah,
Sometimes, and I think that's a big one right there. A lot of people just go ooh, because they don't want to think about men having sex with men. That's oogie, and so they don't think anybody should do it. And we all know that that's not right. It should be, ooh, I don't like it. It's not for me.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. It's nobody. They're not asking me to do it.
Skin off your nose.
Yeah,
I
what it should be.
I don't understand why people draw that line when it comes to sex, but I would never prevent someone else from eating sushi. I don't like sushi, but I would never be like, nah, so we need to illegalize sushi.
Oh, that's a whole other topic. That's the one we can get into. Why do people hate sex? Or why are people afraid of it or judge it? Yeah.
I just don't, it's just weird.
So I'm trying to seed the fertile ground of your minds, because I want to see if you'll come up with this phrase on your own. But
talk to him more about seeding fertile grounds, and maybe we'll get another
brown chicken, brown cow.
Another blush. I tried.
Nope.
I tried. I pushed it too hard.
Nope. He's so zen. He's I'm not going to blush. I'm not going to blush.
Zenning it out.
Whatever you do, don't blush. Don't blush. Yeah.
Blush dance.
I was looking at her for the time, not to see if she would make me blush. So
Still, it works.
And she made you blush.
yeah.
Okay, so what I was trying to say is that we just had like a little treat break a while ago. So is there a phrase that you all might have heard, and I'm sorry, I'm doing my teacher mode right now, but is there a phrase that you might have heard that might have to do with like things that are tasty around being accepting towards other people's sexual?
Oh yeah, don't yuck someone else's yum. Is
Yeah.
that what you were talking about?
Yeah.
I did it. A+.
Yay!
Great.
And over there.
Yeah, I get two.
High fivers.
Yeah, I love that phrase.
Cool. I think
Yeah.
that's pretty succinct. Does that feel pretty straightforward? Folks know what that means? Like,
Well,
Don't
yeah.
yuck someone's yum.
Your thing is not my thing, but your thing's okay.
Yeah.
totally.
Right? It's in that vein of thought.
Yeah.
So, but
Agree.
we do get that a lot of people just kind of, you're weird, you're a freak, you're a creep. I
Yes.
don't like that thing because you like that weird thing that I do not like.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So along with that, I wanted to share, like, these could be expanded out into their own conversations, but just a couple of other quick ideas because I know we are getting low on time maybe. So pleasure for its own sake, like pleasure is its own goal, right? And so is love and relationships. So like I always say, I do trainings for other clinicians. I'm a social worker, and I tell people, like, you know, if your client tells you that if they identify that their goal is to go out and have as much sex as possible this weekend, cool.
Yeah.
We don't get to impose our monogamous or our, you know, wait 3 dates or our wait till marriage, whatever stuff on them. We get to help them work with, that's their goal. How do you do that safely, right?
Right.
And then
Or
body
you could
positive.
be like me, have the sex before the first date.
Hey,
Wait.
there you go. Just knock that out of the way. Not awkward anymore.
You just have like bags on each other's heads. You're like, we haven't met yet, technically.
Craigslist.
So, Craigslist. Oh
Craigslist.
shit. Yeah, it's real.
Tinder used to be less about dating and more about
Hooking up.
Hooking up.
Hookup culture. Yeah.
another thing I want to add about in here is body positivity, and I also want to share that body positivity and also diversity, you know, kind of has to do with body type, body size, level of, you know, different types of ability, and then also you mentioned, and you like implied via saying this, but we didn't expand on it, that not everybody is a white person, not everybody's a cisgender person, and people are going to experience their sexuality within the context and the framework that they experience the rest of their lives, right?
Right.
Like that stuff is all mushed together and all messy. So,
Truth.
thoughts about any of that?
Yeah, I just think, I don't know, kind of reiterating what I said before, like there are things that I'm not going to understand because I come from a certain like combination of experiences and combinations of things that were just assigned to me at birth, or circumstances, and I'm just not going to understand. So I think one of the great things about the sex positive community is that we can kind of discuss these things like, hey, this is a thing for me. I bet you didn't know that. I think that's great that we can discuss that freely and like understand each other better.
Totally.
So, yeah.
All right.
Cool. Hi, Monkey. How's
Hey.
this conversation going for you?
I was gone for a few minutes. I just
Just
got
a little
back.
Easter egg for some people who know that I like to use that phrase.
Which one?
How's this conversation going for
Oh,
you?
how's
It's like
this
a total therapist question, but I
Yeah.
use it in my daily life, and there are people in my life who like to laugh at me about that. So,
Mhm.
another thing that I like to encourage folks to do is to think beyond binaries, and I think that we could, you know, that's again a whole episode, but like a lot of times we think about things, we as people, it might feel comfortable for us to categorize things if we haven't really explored them yet, like, oh, I want to put this in a context of something that I already know, or like just like categories, right? But life is more than just simple categories. It can be pretty messy, and so can sex, and that is why you should use towels and lube
yeah,
and
sex can be
and,
sticky and messy, and it's
condoms
not
and
gross when you're a grown up.
shower. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it is. Sometimes you're like, no, I need a hose.
Need a hose?
For instance, to name a random hypothetical
What are you
example.
doing? Are we talking like garden hose or fire hose? What do we? If it's
Shit.
fire hose, I think I want to be involved with that one.
my
I don't think I'm that durable
I'm concerned.
to be like,
I'm
fire
concerned
hose.
for so many reasons about your fire hose reference. It's just very concerned.
Shit.
So garden hose. Okay.
Sorry, we went to a place.
We went to a place. Yes. I don't even know what's going on over there. Okay.
No.
I also think it's important to do your own research, continue to learn, to have humility, so not to assume you know everything, right? Because like confidence is sexy, but confidence is not about like hubris, about like knowing, you know, thinking that you know everything about someone else's body or preferences, right? Doing your own research, finding community. And then looking at things from a social justice or an anti-oppressive perspective, because again, there's a lot of people who experience experiences that are not just like white cisgender pretty people that are on the cover of like, I was going to say Swingers magazine. Is that a thing?
It used to be.
Oh my God, that's amazing! I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't subscribe.
That's all. That's all my bullet points that I have for sex positivity. So
Well,
you totally didn't subscribe to that.
No.
Okay.
One of the things you talked about there is finding community, and that is huge. I mean, there's what they call the lifestyle or the swinger lifestyle environment. But when you get outside of that, you have BDSM. There's a lot of clubs and environments for people to explore that. But when you start breaking it down into smaller and smaller groups, sometimes the relationship groups like polyamory, there aren't a lot of communities out there, especially across the country. Luckily here in Sacramento we have a robust community around poly. San Francisco, it's huge. But when you start talking about other things, finding that community can be kind of difficult, and you might be segmented to go to a kink community to try to find people that might be interested in some of those aspects.
Totally.
But you have the sexual communities, and then you have the relationship communities, and those do, from what I've seen, cross over quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Why do you guys think? I'm so doing my teacher thing right now,
Oh.
but I have my thoughts, but I am curious about yours. What do you think is important about finding community? Why is it important? Because we just assume like this is an assumption, but why?
I think it's so important to know that you're not alone in your experiences, you know? I think we really obsess over what is normal, and I think it's really good to get away from that, because normal is, I don't think it's real, but I think it's so important to know that you're not alone in your experiences, and especially if you're struggling with something, you can find other people who have had similar experiences, and you know, find some guidance, or at least find comfort.
Guidance is a big one, because there's a lot of people out there who don't know. They're looking for resources. They're looking,
Right.
They don't want to feel like they're so much of an outsider. I like this thing, but I can't find anybody else that likes it. You know, so it helps you build a community, find people that are also doing that thing, maybe differently than what you have envisioned, but at least you can talk about the differences.
Totally.
Right.
And feel like you're not alone. I know when my wife and I opened up and moved our relationship to a polyamorous one, she didn't want to for a very long time before that, because she didn't understand that there was a community out there. Once we started investigating and learning, and there are books, there's people, there's clubs, there's people all over the country, there's conventions about these type of things.
Right.
It became a lot easier to understand and move towards finding others in the community and build a community that you wanted to be part of.
Right.
So yeah, it's two different things. It's one, to find people that may want to do it with you.
Totally.
Number two, it's to find not just companionship, but friends and community within there, so that you can build a connection with people that have like-mindedness. So.
Yeah, the number one thing I think of as well when you said that, right? It's like it's about finding other people, it's about learning, it's about guidance. The number one thing I think of is shame and stigma. And I think that finding community, I really believe in experiencing things relationally is like a core part of our human experience.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, I would say that I'm a social worker, but I really do believe that. I think that we can learn things through our relational experiences, you know, emotionally, sexually, whatever, collaboratively, whatever you want to look at it, that we cannot learn any other way.
So speaking of collaborative environments, luckily we do have one here at the Brown Chicken Brown Cow Show. We actually have two sponsors. I'm really excited to have these two people, these two groups on with us. One of them is the Midtown Moxies. They are a local Sacramento burlesque troupe run by a number of people, including Batty Brule. They are wonderful. If you are here locally in Sacramento, definitely look them up. Look them up on Facebook, look them up online, and check them out. Go to shows. They just had a circus show. They've done geek shows. They're doing superheroes. I'm sorry, let me take that back. Super villains next month. So they're, expect Darth Vader.
Ooh, I
I'm
will.
trying to think of other
Can't
super
wait.
villains. Red Skull. Who knows? One of the show. If you want to just have your mind kind of fucked, go to the show. And there's this one. There's two dancers that normally dance together. They actually did Rick and Morty getting swifty.
Oh, shit.
It
Oh,
was
God.
incredible and made me feel erotic and weird at the same time. I was turned
You're
on
like,
and just
About to learn
So
something.
freaked out at the same
confused.
time. So it was really wonderful, but funny as hell. This troupe is one of the best in Sacramento, and I've been to all of them. Number 2, our second is actually Lucky Bloke. Lucky Bloke is a condom service, and what's nice about it is you can buy condoms without having to worry about buying condoms. Your condoms never go stale because you're always getting new condoms. So you can set the number, you can set the frequency, you can call them up and say, hey, can you send me a variety pack? They will ask you questions and they will try to find something that works for you. So if you're embarrassed to go, as a woman going to the store sometimes can be embarrassing to buy condoms, for some. You don't have to worry about that. You can buy this from this company, and the owner, she's amazing. She's been very sweet to me. And the staff there, they'll walk you through everything if you need any advice. Or you just order and send. Like I said, every month they show up at the door. Don't have to worry about it. Boom. So, Lucky Bloke, luckybloke.com. All right. Welcome to the donut part of the show. This is fantastic. One of the things, we have had a great show so far. Oh dear. I didn't know that was going to make me blush, really.
Number six.
Blush dance.
7.
Oh, geez, number 7.
Oh, the madam says it's blush number 7.
So we've had a great talk about sex positivity. Now that our mouths are full, I'm going to ask my co-hosts if they have anything they want to share, plug, point out. Oh, look, now she's chewing way fast. That's
Like
awesome.
a chipmunk.
Like a chipmunk. Put them in your cheeks. It's good.
Like a chipmunk. So I am the founder of a local organization called Sex Positive Sacramento. Our mission, in case it sounds confusing, is to bring sex positivity to Sacramento. If you don't know what sex positivity is, you should rewind the episode and watch it again. We are putting on an amazing second annual workshop with a sexologist named Victoria Ruvani. She goes by a sexologist Vixen, very cool person. She's from LA, but she's going to be in Sacramento doing her orgasmic yoga workshop, which is a 3-day workshop. I highly recommend it. I participated last year. We hosted them last year. It was really amazing. It's very cool, very kind of intimate, mellow space. If you don't know what orgasmic yoga is, that's totally okay. If you're feeling curious and titillated, you should check out sexpositivesacramento.org or the Facebook page for Sex Positive Sacramento. We have the event up on the page. It's June 22nd through the 24th, which is a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday situation. Math? I don't know. It's the weekend of the 22nd through the 24th. It's here in Sacramento. We're not putting logistical information there about the location because it's invite only. So you do need to be screened using an application because we want to make it as safe a space as possible and comfortable for as many people as possible. But if you're interested, you can apply. You can find the event on Facebook. It's called Orgasmic Yoga, in parentheses, Sacramento 2, because it's the second year. And yeah, if you have questions, just check out the Sex Positive Sacramento Facebook page. And after we record this podcast, I'm going to go home and put it up on the actual website. So you should find it at sexpositivesacramento.org. And thanks so much. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be really fun. There's candles, there's a playlist, there's a lot of like intentionality and being present in your body, and it's just really, really cool. Eating a donut now.
You have any shows or anything you want to plug?
I don't.
No, just
Not
yourself?
today.
Just the donut?
Just the donut.
We'll take 3 seconds to watch you eat a donut.
Great.
1, 2, 3. That is the weirdest way to eat it.
Thank you.
There's weirder ways, but
That was one of them.
that was one of them. All right.
Wait, I'm sorry. Can I interrupt what
No.
you just did? Shit.
What? Go ahead.
No, can we just appreciate the people who are here as our audience
Oh, yeah, we
for our
do have
first
an
show
audience.
and our donut runners and our just lovely
Donut
supportive
runners, like-
people.
oh, yeah.
And again, I'm sure we will at the end, but just
Well,
our,
okay,
okay, I'm done.
We'll say hi to them one more time.
I'm uninterrupting now.
Over on that side of it. Coming up next, we have a fantastic musician. His name is Stephen Yorkie. I've seen him perform numerous times around town, but what's great is you get to see him here on the show and also over there on Facebook Live. But you also get to hear him around town. And we have a number of locations and dates that our friend Kate is going to tell us about right now.
Stephen Yorkie will be at Findleton Winery every Saturday afternoon from 1 to 3 in Camino, at Tio Pepe's in Auburn on June 18th, at Cupro's in Sacramento on June 22nd, at Downtown and Vine in Sacramento on June 23rd. Come out and see him.
I like the fact he's coming down the hill now. You know, get more gigs down here, get more exposure. That's awesome. So, thank you very much. We're going to go straight to Stephen. So enjoy the music, and we'll be back for a little bit right after that.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Jessilee. Thank you, Sean. It's nice to be on here. I'm going to, I have an opening tune, and I realized to my chagrin that the lyric in the middle is, we'll just try to ignore that, as a woman's place is right there in her home.
We'll be ignoring that.
I want to say thank you, Ray Charles, for that lyric. I love this song. I got a woman way over town. She's good to me. Oh, oh yeah. I got a woman way over town. She's good to me. Oh, she's my baby. You understand? I tell ya, I'm a loving man. I got a woman way over town. She's good to me. Oh, oh yeah. She saves her loving early in the morning just for me. Oh, oh yeah. She saves her loving early in the morning just for me. Oh, she saves her loving just for me. I tell ya, she's a friend indeed. I got a woman way over town. She's good to me. Oh, oh yeah. She's there to love me both day and night. Never grumbles or fusses, always treats me right. Never running in the street, leaving me alone. She knows a woman's place is right there. Now in our home, I got a woman way over town. She's good to me. Oh, oh yeah. I got a woman in Sacramento. She's good to me. Oh, she's my baby. Understand? Tell you I'm a loving man. I got a woman way over town. She's good to me. Oh, oh yeah. Don't you know she's all right? Don't you know she's all right? Don't you know she's all right? She's all right. 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 Well, I got a woman way over town. I'm good to me. Thank you very much. This is a song I wrote with Chris and Lance Campbell in along about 1980, somewhere in there in San Francisco. It's called Not Dynaflow Boogie, and the Dynaflow is the name for the automatic transmission in the Buick that they came up with right after World War II. Let's go. Oh, some of you people heard about Dinosaur. This thing here is called a Dynaflow Boogie. My daddy and mom, they decided to go. Well, it's down the Bluefield in the Dynaflow Boogie. You're up on top of the hill, better back that thing in. Put the emergency brake on, you want to see it again. Dynaflow Boogie. Pulling some of these joints like a cage in a cage, and got filling the gumbo and the band's amazing. Dynaflow Boogie. Marine in the hillbilly playing 7-Up. A Marine won the money and is scared to pick it up on the Dynaflow Boogie. Well, the Marine said something about the dignity of man. The hillbilly said something that he couldn't understand. Dynaflow Boogie. Marine pulled a gun and he began to curse. Everybody hit the deck and it couldn't have been worse on the Dynaflow Boogie. I stack it up the front door and fell across the hood. When he died, he had the pink slip. Everybody understood. It was just that old Dynaflow Boogie. Something there somewhere, that's where we wanted to be laid. A plaster plate around the church and got the undertaker paid. They passed out fans at the funeral home. He was like a halo shimmering off the chrome. Well, if all you know is what's on the radio, what's happen when in the bathroom charge and the lights get low. That of the road is so quiet and the lightning bugs glow. Flash on the fan on the dash to the old Dynaflow Boogie. Boogie. Hey, this is my last song. I want to thank the people here. Todd is over there behind the board and done a wonderful job. Lee has been helping him out. Those are the people that you can't see. Laura, I want to thank her. Jessilee, I want to thank her. I want to thank Heather, and I want to thank Kate, and I want to thank our host, Sean Monkey. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. This is a Chuck Berry song. Chuck Berry writes a song, it's exciting enough, but here you hear Chuck's narrator making his way through the South in the late 50s, and that's exciting too. Here we go. I left my home in Norfolk, Virginia, California on my mind. I've been on that Greyhound Road and been to Raleigh and on across Carolina. We heading through Charlotte to bypass Rock Hill, we never was a minute late. It was 90 miles out of Atlanta by sunset, rolling out of Georgia State. I had motor trouble, it turned into a struggle halfway across Alabama. Night hound broke down, left us all stranded in downtown Birmingham. Straight over here, brought me a through train ticket right across Mississippi clean. I was on that midnight flight to Birmingham, smoking into New Orleans. Somebody help me get out of Louisiana, just help me get to Houston town. There are people there who care a little about me and they won't let the poor boy down. Oh, go on, don't let me down now. bought me a silk suit, put luggage in my hand. And I woke up high over Albuquerque on a jet to the promised land. Working on a T-bone steak, a la carte flying over to the Golden State. When the pilot told us in 13 minutes he would set us at the terminal gate. I swing down Chariot, come down easy, taxi to the terminal zone. I cut your engines and cool your wings, so let me make it to the telephone. Los Angeles, give me Norfolk, Virginia, Tidewater for 1009. Tell the folks back home this is the promised land calling and the poor boys on the line. They bought me a silk suit, put luggage in my hand. And I woke up high over Albuquerque on the jet to the promised land. I working on the T-bone steak, a la carte flying over to the Golden State. And the pilot told us in 13 minutes he would set us at the terminal gate. I swing down Chariot, come down easy, back to the terminal zone. I cut your engines and cool your wings, let me make it to the telephone. Los Angeles, give me Norfolk, Virginia, Tidewater for 1009. Tell the folks back home this is the promised land calling and the poor boys on the line.
Stephen, that was fantastic. Thank you very much. I can't tell you how many times I've enjoyed just kicking back at a bar and listening to him sing or sing along with him and try to get him off key as much as I possibly can because I can't carry a note worth anything. Who knows? Anyway, let me thank my co-hosts again. Heather. Yeah, see, I said it right this time. Check it out.
Did.
Yeah. Jessilee.
Thank you.
We all need to say thank you to the man on the moon over here, the professor. Thank you so much. Yeah. And of course, the madam. Oh, stop.
7?
Oh, God.
7?
Just looks at me and I melt.
8?
I think we're at 8.
Blush dance.
She looks at me and I melt. I don't know what-
Blushometer 8.
Yes,
Blushometer
There's a blush
8.
dance. Hashtag blush dance.
Yeah.
Blush dance. Ooh.
So,
Is it a
thank you very
blush
much.
dancing
You
blush?
need to go out and find us. You need to find us on Patreon. Go on Patreon, look for BCBC Podcast. Go on Facebook and add us because we need as many of you as we can put together. That's go on Facebook and look for BCBC Podcast. Also, if you just want to go out to the website, you can type in bcbcpodcast.com. And go there. You'll see any of our future shows, information, details about all the hosts, and any other details and information that you can give us. Honestly, thank you. We want to do this for you and the audience and ourselves. Luckily, we're not touching ourselves on screen. So, moving forward, thank you very much. We're out.
For information on becoming a sponsor, advertising with us, or becoming a guest on our show, visit us at brownchickenbrowncowshow.com. All material in this show is copyrighted 2017 by the Brown Chicken Brown Cow Show and Podcast and Marry You Creative Solutions. All rights are reserved.